Hey everyone, there has been quite a few questions, relatively speaking. We don't get a lot of questions, fortunately. But there's been quite a few questions about the Lowrance Hook2 4 series and 5. We've got the Hook2 4 and the 5 here. And the questions are mainly a couple of ones. One of them has been around this Hook2 4. Can you customize the screen? Not really. You can't really do anything. The screens that they give you are the screens. The other question is, like, is there mapping on this, the GPS version? No, there's no mapping in terms of like contour maps and stuff like that. All it's doing is giving you a basic GPS track that it shows you from like a blank screen, and I can show you guys, like it's right on there right now. You can see nothing, but someone's marked some fish here, and it will show you actually a line of where you've gone and where you've come from, but it doesn't show you any of the landmarkers or anything. So that's really that's what they call a basic GPS. It's basically a track plotter, where you've gone and where you're coming from and where you're going to, what have you. And you can mark nicely enough. You can mark along the way. Now this is going. See, this is on simulation mode. This is actually going into the one sonar view that this unit has, and that's traditional 2D sonar. I hear it's got a fairly wide beam. The transducer, the bullet transducer, which is up here, is pretty small. So I'm not sure how wide of a beam this can give off, but you can see it's my fingers, two of my fingers, right? And a couple digits long, maybe 2.5 digits long, my fingers. It's a pretty small transducer, but it's pretty easy to use, because they're very easy to use because it's just got those 3 settings. It's got your flasher, it's got your GPS, your basic GPS track plotter, and then your 2D sonar. If you want to go into the settings, you hit the power button, and then you can hit enter, this little enter button here. It's like an arrow with some lines on it, and then you can go in here, and there's very little you can actually set up or change. So there's the sonar, or the GPS, sorry, and you can put your routes on. Everything's on here already, so you can change the trails, routes, and waypoints. And then, to go back to that, let's hit the power button again. Again, the power button's getting you into the menu. Hitting the enter button brings you into that detail further, and then there's the GPS. We were just looking at that. The sonar depth offset, that's all you can change on that. Alarms, you can change that, and then the units that you're using. So the nice thing is, because it's GPS, it can track how fast you're going, your speed, miles per hour, or you can change it probably to kilometers, I would imagine. So it's quite basic, and it's quite fixed because it's their lowest cost, lowest end unit, if you will. It's got a night mode. You can turn your brightness up and down, which is helpful for conserving battery power. Let's just see, just double check this guy here, edit the overlay. So you can change the units that you see and the different numerical readouts they're showing you on the screen with that. So that's about all there is to it, folks. You cannot modify the screen and have split screen. There's no split screen on this, but there is a GPS, which is cool. Now, coming to its bigger cousin, brother, sister, mother, whatever you want to call it. Bigger brother, bigger sister, whatever. The Lowrance Hook 5 triple shot is what we have here, and I have a battery already in our mount. This was on our clamp, so that makes our float tube, this makes our boat mount. This would be on this clamp. You can clamp it to your actual boat, the side or whatever, and then we have a magnetic transducer mount that, so this magnetic transducer mount would pair with that setup, and it's a super powerful magnet. You twist it to get it to part. And then, of course, it can clamp through things like your hand if you want to mount your transducer to your hand.
So, and then you just lock this guy in to what detent you want it to be, and then you have your transducer mounted. But yeah, be careful with your fingers, guys. This is such a powerful magnet, it'll really hurt. But through a cardboard, like a credit card thickness or a couple credit card thicknesses of aluminum, that's going to be on there almost like a permanent mount. It's so powerful. So the suction cup days are over. The magnetic transducer days, mounting days have begun, and these are much better for your small aluminum boats like John boats, kayaks, canoes. But anyways, going to the Lowrance 5 here, we'll power this guy up. So we've got the battery. We're just going to plug this guy in, the Lowrance Hook2 5 triple shot, Hook2 5. The Hook2 thing, I wish they never put the 2 there, Gen 2, or they called it something like that, but they got the Hook2. So Hook2 7, Hook2 5, Hook2 4. This is the Hook2 5 triple shot. So you can see, you can swivel that around on our base. The base has got the power in it, and I'm going to demonstrate that right now for you. There's a battery in here, power cable coming out with a plug, and then you can plug your system in. We have all the cabling provided in our kits so that you can make it just like you see here on our videos. This is a non-powered kit, simulating if you had a battery in your boat. Now, we're going to show you, this guy takes a little while to boot up. This Lowrance, I'll show you that. It's taking a little while to get through here, but this guy here, this little guy here, the Hook 4X GPS, the Hook2 4X GPS, it doesn't even, in fact, it doesn't even want to turn off. Like if you hold this guy, and I'm looking at this guy right now. Come on, baby. We'll just hold this guy to power off. Okay, I let go of it. Okay, so now I hit it, and you can see how fast accept, and you're in. Like, we've got simulation mode running here. Now, this is in the marketing mode as well. I hope the camera can see the screens quite well here. Make sure that when you're focusing, you get the whole screen. When I'm really focusing on the details here, please, cameraman. But what we're going to do is, a lot of customers are asking, okay, look, can I customize this screen? Can I set up the screen the way that I want to? And I'm just going to move some of this stuff out of my way here so that I can show you fine folks, give you some answers on that. So what you do for these guys is the same thing with this guy. It's the power button to get it into the settings, or to get to the settings and the menu settings and so on and so forth. And then the power button, you can change the brightness on the screen by just hitting that as well. It's a quick, kind of a quick mode. And then the X to get out of there. So we're going to do the same thing here. We're going to hit the power button, and it brings up this little... Now, we also have the Elite 5 Ti system, which is like a year before these. And it actually has a touch screen. So all these menus are the same menus on that, but you can't actually touch anything and change anything. You do it by the button system over here. So a lot of guys are asking, well, can I have a split screen and so on and so forth? Well, yes, you can. The answer is yes. And we're going to go here. Okay, yeah. So if we hit this page button, so when we were in the menu system there, and that shows you how to change, and I'll go back to that. By hitting the power button, it brings you into the system controls, and you can modify certain things like your GPS settings and stuff like that, your sonar settings to some extent. These are actually fairly dumbed down units in the sense of, like, there's not a ton of settings. You can manipulate a lot because they're trying to make it simple for people so they don't get overwhelmed with everything. But to get to your screen and to change your screen overlay, like what you're seeing, like you can see here, if the camera looks really close at this guy, you got a GPS map and you've got your traditional sonar in there. Here you've got just your down scan, here's your chart, here's your sonar structure, add page. Oh, add page, that's interesting. So we hit this guy, this little guy here, over here is our enter button. But we're gonna hit this enter button, and we're gonna make our own little menu system. And I'm surprised Lowrance doesn't shoot videos like this. And why am I doing it? I have no clue. I guess no one else is doing it. So I'm gonna show you how to do it myself. So if you want, let's say, your chart, and down scan. I don't know. Now you can go down here to your layout. I'm using these arrow buttons on this circle. And how does that work? Back again. We're going to use the X to get out. Let's also put our down scan in there. Now it shows you a split screen here. So I've got your chart and your down scan imaging. And you can get rid of this if you didn't like what you did. It looks like you can probably move around on the screen, yeah, and get X out of some of these. Yeah, up there, you can go to each screen and you can go move the cursor around until you get to, like, you know, you don't like something. It's showing you a little button control. Some of it's not that intuitive, actually. So I'm going to save this one. And there you go. I got a chart and I got down imaging on there. So you can you put 3 screens on there if somebody asked me? I don't know. Can you? Let's see. Let's try to put 3 on here. Let's put our chart. Let's put let's put our sonar on there, and let's see if we can do our down. Oh yeah, it does. Wow. I don't know if you could do 4. Let's try it. Oh, you could even do 4. Wow, that's crazy. And it's not a very big screen, so I wouldn't necessarily recommend that. Trying to read this little side imaging screen, I don't think you can. But, I mean, I think side imaging is really meant more for the full screen to see the little details and little subtle details that side imaging provides. Like, you're like a bird's eye view when you're reading in side imaging. And when you're reading in 2D, like your down imaging, it's a 2D sonar, like a 2D view of what you would see in your side image. And then when you're you know, and most people should be aware of the 2D sonar. It's a lower frequency, so it can pierce through objects and keep going. And you don't see the sonar shadows as much as you would see in your side imaging here. And then your charts there. So, I mean, you could save this. I'm not going to bother saving it because I'd never use it like this. It's just, there's too much data on one little screen. If you had a huge screen, a really big fish finder, then yeah, by all means, you could probably get away with that, I'm sure. So we're going to delete that one out of there. Yeah, there's the X. So I selected, I don't know if the camera's catching this detail, but you can see the little blue ring around the X now. I can get rid of that screen. And now it's got the chart, the 2D sonar, and this down scan imaging, you know, all together. So I could, you know, that's still probably too much for this little screen, but let's hit save, and then let's see what it looks like on the bigger screen here. Oh yeah, there you go. So yeah, I mean, folks, I wouldn't recommend having more than maybe 2, a split screen on here, but the thing is pretty cool in that you could have 3 or 4 if you really need to for some reason. It's got a triple shot transducer, which I think it's a big transducer. It's right here. This guy's sitting on top of it. It's pretty long. It's 10 inches long. I measured it before. We've done some videos on it. More the ergonomics aspect of it. But it's a pretty nice transducer. I like the way it's kind of like ergonomically formed and everything. You could tie it up against, I guess, a motor or something, the way that they've kind of flattened this out and everything. But it's big. And there's a lot of quite a few sensors in here, your elements that are shooting out the sonar frequencies lined up in here, and it's doing 3 frequencies, I believe, or 4 of them, where it'll give you your side imaging, it'll give you your down imaging, and it'll give you the 2D sonar as well. And of course, it's got your GPS maps built in. It's not the rudimentary GPS that you see here, where it's just showing you basically a track that you're following, and you can actually mark, like on here, if I hit this guy, how does that work? You have to hold it down, and then it'll let you put a waypoint, and actually the waypoint that you put, you can even select, if you hit this enter button again, you can select this different symbols to mark as. Like there's a black skeleton of death here. So I'm not sure. Don't go there. You'll probably sink your boat. Is probably what it's saying. Trying to add a little humor to my videos these days, if you can notice, folks. But anyways, yeah. So there you have it. You got the Hook2 it's not like, again, going to this, we'll go to this little page button here. Let's get out of here. X. Let's go to this guy. Yeah, so you can't actually, like in this one, when you hit the screen button, you can, I've added a couple screens. You see now they show up here, and you can add another page. You know, there's this customized switch down here. Like, anyways, the point is that people are asking, you know, can you have split screen? The answer is absolutely yes, you can. And by the way, another question I remembered is, yeah, you can put your little cards in here. Probably your Navionics too. I don't know for sure. I think your Navionics cards can go in here. Probably in the format of an SD card. Right there, you can see the little slot right there, covered up nicely by the plastic rubber plug. Fits in there pretty good, actually. So there you have the questions answered about that. And then, you know, you want to go and see a little bit more about this guy. Well, we can go back here and we can go onto your settings. So you got your settings, standby, power off, brightness. Brightness is the nice thing with brightness is if you're using it on a portable unit like ours and you want to conserve the battery power, you can turn down the brightness of the screen if it's comfortable for you, of course, because in bright light you're going to want it probably pretty bright, but you can do that this way. And you can turn it down almost all the way, actually. And we'll just turn it back up. Or, what you can do is by hitting this power button, it has some auto sets, like, it's like 4 settings. Like, it's full blast, 75%, 50%, and 0. 50% is almost off already anyway, so it's kind of pretty redundant, I think. Unless I guess you're in dead of night. So there's a night mode, it probably inverses all the colors, stop sonar, you know, log your sonar. So you can actually record the sonar. I haven't looked at that. Okay, so you got to do, so you probably have to have the card in there and stuff. So I'm not going to go through that right now. I have no clue about any of that at this point. I have to spend some time on the water with it. And by the way, guys, this spring, like right now we're in the middle of winter, it's well, pretty much there's snow even on the ground up there. We're not using these on the water as a result. But come around the May time frame, I'll be doing a whole pile of May, June, July in there for sure. I'll have a whole pile of new videos out with these actual fish finders being used on the water. And then I'll go through some more aspects of these fish finders and how I feel about them. I'm typically a float tube fisherman. I have an inflatable boat that I use a lot. And then, you know, I do some kayaking stuff and, you know, sometimes, like, you know, rent aluminum boats, and my fishing partner has an aluminum boat I go on, but I don't really have the storage for all these different boats, so I don't have an aluminum boat myself at this time. The point is we'll be making sure that we get them onto these different boats, and I think for different boats you might like certain things. I mean, obviously for a float tube you're not going to want a huge giant fish finder, although I've had guys that like the 7 to 7-inch screens on those float tubes. It's nothing I would do, but there are guys out there that have done it, and you know, God bless them. But anyways, you know, if you guys want some of our awesome fish finder mounts, now I was going to show you too just quickly. We've got also the Lowrance, or the Garmin Striker. Oh, you know what? Before I do that, I'm going to show you. This was the last year's model of the Hook2 series, and it's interesting because it has a screw-in system here, which is nicer actually than just the press-in that this one has, and even this one. And this guy, I don't have it powered up right now. I should power it up another time. But you could actually do a split screen on these old ones. So like the split screen capability on these old ones has gone away in the new models. So you can actually put a split screen on the new Hook2 4. And they've dumbed down the 4 in terms of you can't get as many emanations or models of them. It's just 2 models, I believe. It's the Hook2 4 GPS, Hook2 4X GPS, and Hook2 4X, and that's it. And without the GPS, you know, all you have is your traditional sonar and your flasher, and that's it. There's nothing more to it.
But with this guy, you could get like these guys with down imaging as well. This doesn't even have down imaging anymore. So you're going from a Hook 4 in the old days. This Hook 4X, I believe, has down imaging. Yeah, Hook 4X chirp. It has down imaging. I don't know if this is chirp. It doesn't say if it's chirp or not. And chirp is actually a bit of a funny thing because, you know, there's good chirp and there's not so good chirp. There's better chirp and there's worse chirp. You know, like if you don't have a great screen to see it on either, it's not really going to help you that much because you can't see the details that the chirp is bringing up and trying to display on the screen because you're only as strong as the weakest link. So I'll have to do another video showing you guys this Hook 2 of the older or newer generation to the Hook 2, sorry, the Hook 4s of the two generations on another video so you guys can see what's changed. And like, unless you just want really basic information, you know, I'm going to always be recommending the Hook2 5. I think this finder is really cool. They've got the right ingredients in this one at the right price point. In my opinion, you're getting a lot for your money. And it's fairly easy to use. So I'm starting to recommend this finder here to a lot of my customers out there. And it's still, you know, 5-inch screen, still not too big for a float tube. And you know, I've got the Helix 5s about the same size in terms of like the overall length, and you know, I've put that comfortably on my float tube. In fact, actually, here are the competition's other fish finders. This is the Garmin Striker 5. This is a little older model, it's the DV. And this here is the Garmin, or the Humminbird Helix 5. So you guys can see, I'll just lower this screen here so you can see the look of them. You can see they're all relatively the same exact size. There's not much difference in terms of the overall. This, like the Humminbird, they use this big bezel here, so it makes it look like it's a bigger screen, but it's not really. It actually starts right there and ends right there. I like this finder a lot. I used it this a couple years back when I was not as busy with fishfindermounts.com. And I really had a great time using it and finding all sorts of cool things in fish, of course. And then there's your Garmin Striker right there. I don't know if this guy, yeah, they're all powered up. There you go. So this is a pretty cool, I should have pressed menu right away there. The Humminbird I find is the most complicated of them all to set up. But they have that more tweakability simulator. But you'd use the arrows to use your enter for that. This guy here, I really like their menu system too, Garmin Striker stuff. You can split their windows. You can split this window. They're all splittable. All the 5-inch screens, you can have more than one different type of content on there. And you can customize these screens. You can't customize the Humminbird ones, I believe, from my recollection, but you can customize this guy, and as I already showed, you can customize that guy as well. So this is a split frequency. Let's see here, and we're gonna see, yeah, so they have some splits set up already for you. So traditional map or waypoint, traditional and down view. So this is let's see, let's look at this guy here. So yeah, you got splits in vertical sense this way, which actually I think makes sense because, you know, if you're just doing a track plotter on this guy, you know, all you're seeing is the line anyway, so you may as well, that works. In fact, they could maybe even make it just a little block. And then you got your two different, this is your 455 kilohertz, and this is your 200 kilohertz frequency there. And they show you the frequencies, which is kind of nice. This guy here is showing you at 455 kilohertz here as well on your side imaging, actually. So, and this is the down imaging. There's no side imaging on this one or this one, but there is on this one. And that's one of the big things where they kick up their game here. Humminbird Helix 5s, they do have a side imaging version. And obviously, so now do in a 5-inch format. So you could actually put them on a float tube if you want, reasonably nicely and easily and compactly. There's been some guys that will argue that it's not as nice to see, it's not that great to see a side imaging, you know, view in a small screen like this. So that may have some validity to that. Garmin doesn't make a side imaging in a 5-inch unit. It makes one though in a 7-inch, the Helix 5 or 7SV models, and then these guys, you know, they make a 7TS and they make a 7 mega image or 7 SI, Helix 7 SI. I'm Wade from fishfindermounts.com. You can call us at 1-855-784-3474 if you want to make any of these fish finders portable. We have amazing fish finder mounting systems and transducer mounting systems. They are universal. They are compatible with all these fish finders. You can see the same battery box essentially set up. You can put them in different formats. You'll see that on our website. We have all sorts of different models, like for your float tubes, if you want to strap it on, if you want to have a clamp that would go on your boat. We even have a pole system mounting system now right over here. You guys can see if the camera just zooms in on this guy. If you can't use our magnetic transducer mount on your style of boat, there are some boats out there like your pond prowlers, your bass raiders and stuff like that. This is the system you're going to want. You can put the battery box system right on top of this guy. You can even put our non-powered kits right on top. You can see with this system as an example, just unplug that guy, that you can actually, and I'll do a quick assembly of that, you can actually take this non-powered kit, so instead of just having only a transducer mount, which is what this is at this point, transducer mount, it's universal again. It can fit any of these transducers you see on the table of these different products, no problem. Transducers like you see, this 10-inch triple shot guy, this 6.5 or 6-inch Garmin Striker 4 Plus, and we're just going to take this non-powered system just to show you an example. This new mounting system, this pole mounting system from us is, again, we haven't had a chance to show you out on the boats and the water and all of that fun stuff yet, but we will. But if you don't have a boat that can accept the magnetic transducer mount, you can just purchase from us one of these configurations where it actually has, if you want your fish finder on it too, it has a complete mounting solution all together. We'll just show you quickly, because I know my cameraman probably wants this to end. So we'll just put that guy together, and boom, you got a mounting system right there. And your transducer, you're like, well, what about the transducer? Wait, what is this hanging around? Okay, well, let's just get it unhanging around. Let's put that right on this guy. Maybe the detail could be, we'll just twist the bar, twist the pole, and that's what this is. This actual part of it is to adjust your depth of your pole up to 32 inches of reach, everybody. So all the way down to 32 inches you can go, 31 and a half or something like that. And we'll just turn this for the camera to see a little better. Right here. We take our fork washer off, is what we call it. We take our bullet transducer, that's what comes with this fish finder itself. We take the fork washer, there's some grooves here. We put it back on. And there is a little slip over the top process there. There we go, sorry about that. It's butterfingers there. So we get our transducer on there now too. So we got a whole complete mounting system. If the camera backs away from me, you've got it on your boat. It's all together. You have your battery somewhere else in your boat. Maybe you have a trolling battery, what have you. Well, guess what? After, at the end of the day, you're tired. You just want the day to end. You want it to be over. You've caught so many fish. You're satisfied. Dinner is on the table. And you just take your fish finder off your boat. And away you go. You can take your fish finder in with you, disconnecting from your battery, of course. You can leave your battery in your boat if you would have wished. And then when you're ready to go the next day, again, you just can slide that over the gunwale edge of your boat. I'm just using this chair as, oops. We've got some scuff guards on here. Just make sure that these don't come off easily on you guys. You don't actually need them for it to function, but it keeps your boat or the rental boat or whatever it is that you're using, it keeps that from
getting scuffed up by the jaws on this clamp. The jaws on this clamp are fairly toothy, as you can see over here. There's some teeth. So they're designed, and actually I have on this particular one, I have our 15-degree offset pad here, which has actually got a bit of a 15-degree angle on it. So if you do have a boat side that's fairly angled, this will actually offset that angle to keep everything more flat. You can buy that on our accessories page. And of course, again, as I was showing you, you can swivel this guy around wherever you want it, and you can obviously, through their tilt mechanism, tilt your screen, lock that guy in. Right back here on the Lowrance systems, they have this little slide guy like that. But you know, to actually tilt it, you just pinch that and then it locks in again, and then you can lock it in if you want. I don't even bother locking it anymore. And then yeah, if this is on the side of your boat, as you can see here, this is the side of your boat. This can be sitting like going with you on the side. If it's on the transom of your boat, the back of your boat, or the bow of your boat, even the front of your boat, right? You can have this way and then lock this in. Maybe you have a pontoon boat or something. You can even actually tilt this guy. That's the other thing I want to show you guys. Let's move this first before we do that. It's on a chair, so it's not as easy to work with. Yeah, you want to loosen that guy off too. That being the clamping knob. You don't have to have it super loose, but you take this guy, and I'm going to move the fish finder. You can take this guy and you can just tilt this up if you want, or you can tilt it this way if you want. If you need that, you might need it for some reason. You can also tilt the transducer at its mounting point to whatever detent you want that. Maybe you want it this way, I don't know, whatever. You can do all sorts of funky things with it and make it be what you want it to be ultimately. So this is Wade again. I was supposed to finish this video off probably 5 or 10 minutes ago, but this is Wade from fishfindermounts.com, showing you basically the Garmin, the Lowrance screens and what you can do with those and how you can set those up. And then I've ended off the video showing you some other fish finders briefly, and then also showing you how they can go on some of our mounts like this pole mount. So thanks for watching, everyone. You can call us at 1-855-784-3474 to get your amazing portable fish finder mounting solution from us today.